Bloody Sunday. Leader Fan Radio Network.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
And KFAN.com. 2 minutes, 8 seconds past the hour of 3 o'clock Central Daylight Time. We welcome you back to a Monday production of the Bumper to Bumper program on another outstanding weekday afternoon here in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. It's almost November, correct? And it's
about 10 days.
It's 80, or it's getting near 80. And then a lot of days in the 60s. When's the last fall we've had that's gone as well as this one?
I don't remember one.
It's tremendous.
I don't remember one. We'll take it.
Absolutely remarkable. I am the host of the program. My name is Dan Barreiro. Guardsy's the producer of the broadcast and sidekick as well. And we will be with you. This is our only distance day this week. Is that correct?
I don't know if that's correct. We might have one on Wednesday, too.
Okay.
But we are out a lot of summer hours. Well, it's 80 degrees, so we're mixing in some summer hours.
Makes some sense. That and Thursday night, the Vikings are in L.A. to take on the Rams, so we'll be out early for the pregame show then. And I think it's Minnesota Wild hockey tomorrow.
Yes, in Florida.
Eastern time zone, so that's why we will be out early tomorrow's show. I think it's good that we are going the distance today because there is plenty to discuss after Sunday, Bloody Sunday. A day that started with so much promise, so much eager anticipation, where you say to yourself, if you're a committed Minnesota sports fan, you start the day with a matchup of, well, it certainly looks to the other part of the season, heavyweight National Football League teams. Undefeated Vikings hosting the one-loss and defending division champion Detroit Lions. And you say to yourself, I know we're not going to go undefeated, but man, this would be a good one to get. And I'm looking forward to the matchups. I'm looking forward to, for example, to the match between the two chess masters, right? Defensive genius Brian Flores for us. Offensive genius
Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson for them. Not the Gophers' Ben Johnson, but their Ben Johnson. Let's play. This should be fun. And beyond that, a great opportunity to get greedy and to say, yeah, we're not going to win them all, but this would be a big one to get. If we win this game, we're not only 2 games clear of the Lions and have the early tiebreaker, we're 2 games clear of everybody in the entire conference. And you say, that's pretty rarefied air this early. I'm going to enjoy this. This is going to be fun. I can't wait to see how the quarterbacks match up. Can we put a dent in their very versatile and successful and effective ground game? What are they going to do with JJ? And then you kind of rub your hands together and you say, at night, a chance to celebrate another championship. I say another like we got a bunch of them, but the Lynx, relatively speaking, do.
One for the thumb, it would have been.
It would have been one for the thumb. They're 5th. They're first in a while. And first without, the heavyweight Hall of Fame players that we all know and love. Not easy to win a winner-take-all Game 5 on the road by any stretch, but it's one game. They've beaten us here. We've beaten them there. We took care of business in a kind of a slugfest in Game 4. I was there with Giovanzi, and it was tense. It was tight. And I'll say again what I've said repeatedly the last really several years, but it's topical, so it's worth mentioning again. I don't believe, and this is, I'm going to go ahead and preface this because it'll get dismissed. This is not my attempt at social engineering. We don't do a lot of social engineering on this show. We don't take positions because we think that's the position with which we will get patted on the back by the people that matter. I say this because I believe it. It is a crowd, the Minnesota Lynx crowd is the single most committed crowd to watching the game, to absorbing the ups and downs of the game, the strategy, I guess you could say, officiating calls, certainly. Everything that's involved in it. the beautiful people quotient at Lynx games might be going up a little because they are becoming more popular and more fashionable, but it's nowhere near what it is for several other teams. This is the litmus test for me to prove my point. Pat Kessler is a beautiful people person.
Yes.
Kessler tends to want to go where it's what? Most fashionable. Kessler's never been to a Lynx game, I don't think. Well, I might be exaggerating. He might have been to one or two.
Not many.
But, the crowd doesn't go there to sip wine. They don't, get there to, I'm going to check my food order app to see what exotic Caesar salad might be delivered to my courtside seat. They're there to watch the game. And if they're not there, they didn't make the trip to New York, I think they were going to watch on TV last night. So a great opportunity. As the day dawned, you said to yourself, it's Minnesota. We get it. It's supposed to come crashing down. But why does it have to come crashing down on this Sunday? It doesn't have to be a Sunday, bloody Sunday, does it? And ultimately, that's exactly, for different reasons, different circumstances, that's exactly what took place. It was Sunday, bloody Sunday for Minnesota. Vikings looked for a time as if they'd saved themselves from a middle portion of the game in which the vaunted B-Flow defense got sliced and diced and barbecued. Not, by the way, with any short drives. Every Detroit drive was 80, 75, 77.
5 plays, 8 plays, 9 plays.
It was unbelievable. But nevertheless, the Vikings got back in it, and and this is what can be a saving grace for a defense that did get exposed a little bit. The Charles Peanut Tillman punch-out, fumble recovery on the fly, touchdown. It counts. And you say to yourself, damn, they might get out of here with a victory. They were in position to do exactly that until they weren't. And some of the Vikings talking points will have very much to do with the inability to convert on 3rd and 4, last Vikings possession. Another first down probably ends it. We don't get it. And then the Lions move just enough to get into field goal range to get the game winner. So is the season over for the Vikings on the basis of that loss? Certainly not. Absolutely not. You could even make the argument these teams are going to play 3 times this year. But I do think, nevertheless, it felt, at the moment, it was sort of hard to finesse it as, well, you're going to win some of these, you're going to lose some of these because of the way it played out. In the case of the Lynx, there is no tomorrow, at least not for this team. That's what makes the loss, it's the old deal of nothing ventured, nothing get. Would you rather have not made it to the championship round? Would you rather have not made it to game 5 of a best of 5? Of course you'd rather get there. But once you're there and it's sitting there for you, the game, we'll get to the officials because I know everybody wants to go after the officials and we will not be kind to them today. But the game was sitting there. The Lynx had the opportunity to turn a bloody Sunday into something a lot more celebratory by the end of the day. There were, I attended the Tim Conley ping pong tournament event.
You found out where it was?
Found out where it was.
You got the website?
Got the website. And speaking of beautiful people, there were a lot of beautiful people there. Great cause, but beautiful people everywhere, including Anthony Edwards, including Rudy Gobert, including Justin Morneau. They were celebrity ping pong participants. And as that wrapped up, there was a big screen, fortunately, that also allowed people to occasionally look over to see what the Lynx were up to. And by the end of the game, even before overtime, there were a bunch of people just in that section standing and sitting and getting very much into it. Turned into basically a Lynx viewing party.
Sure.
Late. And it was there. It was there to steal, to save the day, and more importantly, to win another title. I will forever believe that more than any other single moment, the game was lost in regulation when Nafisa Collier, who on the previous possession had done one of her sort of, standard fundamentally sound drives to the basket for a layup. She had a chance for another layup.
To go up 4.
The game's over if they go up 4, and she doesn't put the right spin on the ball, and it just clanks off the backboard. And that is what opened the door to then the controversial foul call late, free throws, and then in overtime, the Lynx looked utterly and completely spent. So in the broader context, it'll be nobody expected them to get there. Nobody expected that they'd even be in that position. A wildly successful bounce-back season for Cheryl Reeve and company. But the day of, the night of, and the morning after, I think it's hard to be that philosophical about it and say, it's right there on the road to win it, to force the WNBA commissioner to take that dress off and put a Minneapolis or St. Paul dress on instead. But we could not finish the job, and so it did end up being very much a Sunday, bloody Sunday on the Minnesota sports scene.
The Fan and 2 men and a junk truck want to maybe brighten your day a little bit after that open with our national cash contest, but the truth cannot be controversial. You can enter by going to KFAN.com and entering the keyword cash. It's KFAN.com, and the first keyword of the day is cash.
Guest lineup today will include a visit with Viking safety Cam Bynum sometime, we think, around 3:45, tentatively, but that's a fluid situation, so don't hold us to it.
Short week, got to squeeze a lot in.
That's right, Thursday night football
They turn the page.
The dangerous Los Angeles Rams of Anaheim. Ben Lieber is locked in for 4:47 today, and John Athletic at 5:30. I'm sure we'll talk Vikings. But we'll also get to, officially, the National Basketball Association preview because the season opens tomorrow night, and we're part of the doubleheader. The Wolves in Los Angeles to take on the Lakers in the nightcap of the opening night National Basketball Association doubleheader. First Vikings talking point to discuss. I kind of call it the yin and the yang of Sam Darnold.
2nd and 8 for Minnesota from the Lions 43. Lions lead 14-10, 5:50 and counting to go in the first half. 2 tight ends for the Vikings. They're balanced. Play action for Darnold. 4-man rush for the Lions. Sam passes to the right side. Terrible pass, and it is intercepted by the Detroit Lions. And holy cow, has this game turned around. Brian Branch, with his 4th interception this year, has taken the ball away from Sam Darnold, who now has 5 interceptions this year. And the Lions, once trailing 10-0, have outscored the Vikings 14-0. Now they just took the ball from Sam, the man on the fan.
Yeah, that was a great job by Brian Branch. He just sat there. He knew where Addison was going to go, and he just beat him to the spot. I mean, he knew exactly where Darnold was going to end up going with that football and stepped up in front of Addison and became the receiver.
28-20 Lions. Vikings ball, 1st and 10 from their own 9. 10-10 to go in the game. Darnold from under center. Play action off Aaron Jones. Sam dials up a deep one for Jordan Addison, and he got him at the Lions' 40-yard line. That's where he's toppled. 51-yard connection. Darnold, Addison, first down.
Now beautifully blocked front by the Minnesota Vikings. They were zone blitzing. They brought an extra linebacker from the outside, and Jordan Addison just getting behind the safeties. And these safeties for these Lions now have had a great year. They do a very, very good job. So for Addison to get behind them, that is no easy feat. But what a huge chunk play that we need. Our offense has come alive, Paul.
The downside is that drive ended with a field goal. We did not make it all the way in for a touchdown. But at the time, I felt like it was a very important completion for Darnold. He had given up that big interception late in the second quarter. Late, I want to say 6 minutes or so to go. And let's remember that once they got the ball, they being the Lions, off that interception, they did a masterful job not only driving down the field for a touchdown, but milking the clock for the rest of the half. You know and I know the way KOC works. KOC works, I don't care if I'm getting the ball to start the second half. If I can get an extra possession on top of that at the end of the half to get at least 3,
right,
I'm going for it, right? Lions were clinical in that approach. More on that later. But I think Darnold, after that, and a couple of other struggles, he needed a play like that. And as they said on the TV part of the broadcast, it's been one of the strengths when he's gone good, is the ability to drive the ball downfield. As much as I'm a dink and dunk guy, or I'm not offended by dink and dunk, there is still nothing like an explosive 51-yard play, which he got there. And Darnold, I thought, overall improved. I mean, he came back from what I thought was certainly a shakier first half, because and it's no fault of his own. The first touchdown off the bad fake attempt by the Lions was one run, right? It was basically
Aaron
Jonesy around left end. Mm-hmm. And so there was not a lot of heavy lifting for Darnold to do. Now, on the other hand, if we're doing the yin and the yang, and we're here, we might as well get right to what might be classified as the key moment of the ball game. You could say that if the key moment for the Lynx was Nafisa Collier blowing that what should have been a fairly easy layup to give the Lynx a 4-point lead very late in regulation, for the Vikings it might well have been the 3rd and 4 situation late, in which if the Vikings get literally one more first down, there's a good chance to think that the game might be over. Some of you might have remembered what ultimately took place in that situation.
Vikings 4 of 9 on 3rd down. Aaron Jones in motion to the left. Darnold out of the shotgun. Sprints out to the right. Throws too high at the 40. Incomplete. And he had Jefferson at about the 38 for a first down. The clock stopped with 2:41 to go. Darnold threw the ball 100 miles per hour. And I think that play was there for a first down, Pete.
Oh, absolutely.
Take a peek at that replay.
Again, it just did not look right, because you had Jordan Addison
too close,
and then right behind him, Justin Jefferson in the same line of sight.
Yep.
So, again, another mistake, and somehow in the route running or whatever, but that play that was not the way it was designed to be run.
No, and it's the sort of play that you say you sort of kind of have to make. It's not unprecedented for even great quarterbacks to not make it. But that opened the door to the Lions getting the ball back and going on their just effective enough field goal drive, because at that point, they don't need 7. All they need is 3 points. And I'm not going to necessarily put this on Sam Darnold, but part of why his ups and downs stood out again this week was just how ridiculously effective Goff was. Mm-hmm. He again, every time I see him, my appreciation of him goes up another notch. And I was in that firm camp of people who say, gives up the ball too much. He's not strong with the ball in the pocket. There's not that many plays he could really make. He doesn't even look confident. He doesn't seem to have that, that Favre bravado. Every once in a while you look at him and go, does he even know where he is? I mean, he just doesn't look like yet his precision, again in this game, when it was going good for the Lions, right? Second and third quarters, ridiculous. He made pretty much every throw that he needed to make. And so it's maybe unrealistic to expect that Darnold will match that, but because that's the matchup and because that's what they have on the other side of it, it becomes a little bit difficult to I guess you could say, ignore just how effective Goff was. I don't think he had, for a while he was on his way for another perfect rating, right?
Yep.
But on the key 4 possessions that turn a 10-point deficit into an 11-point lead, Goff was 13 for 14 for 183 yards and 2 touchdowns. You can't play the position any better than he played it.
And the number that I've seen floated around today had to do with him versus the Flonami when they blitz.
Yeah.
And everybody else so far this season in terms of QBR, whatever they want to do. I think it was on ESPN today. He's at like 90-something against the blitz. And there were a lot of them yesterday. And they did those during Fox, too. They go against the blitz.
Did, right?
He was like 12 for 12 for a while. He was just perfect in that regard. Other quarterbacks are like a 35, 36, 37 QBR when the Flonami has been unleashed and unfurled. He was terrific. And you're right, Darnold, the ones that you want to have back, I mean, that interception, I could see it, but not even watching the All-22, Aaron Jones is wide open at the top of the screen.
A lot of discussion about that,
like,
yes.
Why isn't he at least looking there? And obviously...
because your guy has got him so intimidated about, got to go downfield.
I know.
Got to go downfield. And in fact, we played it. The 51-yarder was brilliant from the deep in our own end zone.
It's like the fourth time they've done that this year.
Exactly. But then you say, well, but don't the best ones mix and match those and remind the QB that you don't, as much as we like home runs, we don't think you have to go for them every time. And I worry that that's part of what drives him, because that's what they emphasize. That's a lot of what the Vikings say they want, right? Isn't that what KFC says he wants?
He likes to push it down the field. Even when Mullins got the one snap last week, they pushed it down the field. And the last third down was completely discombobulated. Guys were in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And what's frustrating about that is they got 5 yards on first down. Jones, because everybody knows what's at stake, right? What the deal is in that drive. Let's milk it. Let's get a first down. Let's make them use all their timeouts. And then if you have to punt it, at least they've bled it and you're underneath the 2-minute warning.
Correct.
Jones gets 5 yards on first down. That's a great spot for the offense to be in.
Yeah.
It was a good run.
Yes,
there wasn't a ton there. And then they get nothing. I think they got 1 yard on second down and then that incompletion. So it was even, I thought, a double buzzkill given how first down went on that particular drive.
I really wish, maybe it's impossible given his injury history, I really wish he could play the whole game. I no offense to your guy, I don't want to see him. I'd rather not see him on the field. Ty Chandler. Aaron Jones is so vastly superior to him. And if he had another option that I liked more, maybe I'd say, yeah, I guess you got to spell him. The good news is Jones looked fine. He looked fresh.
Yep.
He did not look like he was going 62%, right? And you hit on part of it with him. He's a master at turning -2 into +2. Or, -3 into +3. That's one of the things, and it's sneaky. It's hidden. You don't think about it that much. But 2nd and 13 is very different than 2nd and 7. The fan has learned. Even I can do that math. Bottom of the hour pause. We do expect sometime before 4 o'clock, Viking safety Cam Bynum, who was very honest about his own culpability in a couple of the key Detroit Lions offensive plays. He's expected. Ben Lieber is locked for about 4:45 or so, and John Krasinski will join in the 5 o'clock. Don't go. Bumper to Bumper is the name of the program. We hope to have a minute or two with Viking safety Cam Bynum before this hour is wrapped up. John Krasinski will join in the 5, and Ben Lieber will join late in the 4 o'clock hour. A couple of regulars for early in the week. Vikings, of course, on a short week because they are traveling to Los Angeles, or will travel to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. You get the Wolves there Tuesday night, and then I think the Wolves go on to Sacramento from there. And same time in California, Southern California, the Vikings take on the Rams, who I think won.
They did
yesterday. They're injury riddled and not their records pedestrian at best, right? Aren't they 2 and?
They're 2 and 4.
2 and 4.
They knocked off Las Vegas yesterday.
Right.
Got 4 turnovers from the Raiders and held them off 20-15.
20-15 was the final. And so that's a game I'm going to assume we're favored, but I haven't looked for the early lines.
I'll do it now.
And out of curiosity to see how that's viewed, that's a game, especially in the position that you've elevated yourselves to. I think you pretty much have to win, maybe now more than ever, because you did lose the game, a close game at home to the Detroit Lions. So what do we have early? We see anything?
DraftKings has us as a 3-point favorite.
3-point favorite. But we're still not going to have Cashman back, right? I think there's a good chance he's out for another week. Turf toe guy, right? And maybe that has something to do with the inability to handle the run. I'm not sure. By the way, I'm wondering, well, late drive, after the Lions get the field goal that ultimately wins the game, we still get the ball back, right? We have no timeouts, and we're starting at the 30, and the mission's clear. It's tough. It's get into field goal range and have some time left where you can clock it with 1 second to go, and you just try a long field goal and say, what the hell, we'll take our chances.
We got it with 15 seconds left, I think.
So what's fascinating to me is the defensive philosophy deployed by the Lions on back-to-back plays. On the first, which resulted in a 20-yard completion, 22-yard completion that got us potentially into position to try a 68-yard field goal.
Yep, 20 yards to midfield.
Who was that? Who caught that?
Naylor.
My recollection is the Lions rushed nobody or maybe one. They did the old, we're going to drop everybody into coverage, which I get, but I'm in the group that hates, because it did give Darnold all of the time in the world for patterns to develop, because you have to, obviously you can't throw a 6-yard pass there. It's got to be 15 to 20 to 25 yards downfield, and it was as clean as you could possibly hope. Now, they got to rush up.
Right.
As it turns out, they did rush up in time, but they didn't have enough people at the line of scrimmage. So it's a penalty that means there is still one more play, because there was 1 second left, the officials ruled, when the ball was clocked, but you lose 5 yards. The head coach has said that 5 yards was the difference between trying a 68-yard field goal and a 73. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what the analytics show in that situation. I'd have still tried the field goal.
I think you're right.
Seriously, I would have.
Yeah.
Because we're in an age in which 65 to 68-yard field goals are no longer preposterous at all. So you say, well, maybe he just hits it great. And do you really have a better chance on a Hail Mary? And what's interesting is, on the Hail Mary attempt, what did the Lions do?
Went right after
They
him.
sent 7 guys. Didn't even get a pass off, which I much prefer. Even if that might compromise your coverage downfield a little bit, I just don't believe at this level, with quarterbacks, well, and Darnold has a strong arm. There's no question he's got a strong arm. I just don't want it to be that clean for anybody, even for lesser quarterbacks. And so the contrast in approach was very stark. The play that could have ended up costing the Lions. If they get on the line of scrimmage in time, who's to say we're not celebrating? It's not Sunday Bloody Sunday, but it was a split.
Right.
68-yard field goal by this kicker. What's his name? Reichard?
Yeah.
He hasn't missed yet.
He is not.
He hasn't missed anything yet. I know. We all are aware of the Gary Anderson precedent, which scares people. But he's got a leg. There's no question about it. And imagine if you're the Lions and say, we lost. It's a long field goal, but not as long as it used to be. Maybe in no small part because we decided to send nobody at the line of scrimmage. To me, that's too easy. That made no sense.
He would have had to answer for it, obviously, if it flipped on him.
Yeah.
Where I'll defend him is, it was pretty obvious they allowed nothing on the sidelines. True. And I think Darnold was waiting for something.
Yeah, right.
Darnold bled a lot of the clock because he had all day. So it had to go almost perfectly once
That's true.
he threw it, and obviously it didn't because the Vikings had a penalty.
Right.
15 seconds with no time. I don't know how long it took him to throw, but it felt like 5-6 seconds.
Yeah, he held it for a while.
Because there was nothing on the sideline. What kills you is if you allow something on the sideline, rushing nobody, you can get out of bounds.
The clock. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the clock goes when the play
because he
starts,
catches
right?
it and the clock's still going, and they have to get there, and it has to be run almost perfectly.
True.
So that might have been intentional as well. As we're going to give up the middle.
Yeah, that might have been part of their
plan. And if they can get up here and spike it and have no problems, because there had to be nothing on the sideline because he was clearly looking for it.
No, I'm not. I'm fine here. It's happened again on my Apple Watch. It looks like you've taken a hard fall. No, I'm good. Thank you. I'm a little, this, and here I'm arguing about something that didn't even happen, but it was an interesting wrinkle. Do you think he really means it, that he would have thrown the kicker out there at 68? I think he would have.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, that would be considered a lie from the head coach. No longer can you say that in that situation, it's not worth a try.
And right? I think everybody would have been fine with it.
You are correct. Let's stay ahead of the clock because we are hoping for a visit with Vikings safety Cam Bynum. Don't go.